Hello, and welcome to the annual Joe from Seattle celebration of stupidity! So every year I like to do a little top 5 compilation so we can take a little chuckle at the absolute dumbest corporate shills I've talked about before closing the book of the year and moving on into the future. But this year's compilation is rather special for a number of reasons. First of all, the growth of this channel in 2023 was more than anything I had ever dreamed of. At the start of this year, I had around 4,000 subscribers, and now we're closing in on 9,000. Also, going into 2023, I had never had a video cross 30,000 views, but in this year alone, we got 4 of them, and we broke 100,000 views on a single video for the first time, which is something I never thought would ever happen, like ever. The support on this channel has been absolutely unreal, and I seriously cannot thank you guys enough. But that also brings us to how this compilation is going to go down. Longtime viewers know that I used to do fanboy videos rather differently. Instead of taking a whole bunch of tweets about a certain topic, I would find a video someone made and respond to it point by point. I still do video responses from time to time, but it's definitely not my main kind of content anymore. But that did make today's top 5 rather difficult, because it's easy to pick out who the biggest 5 console fanboys of the year are when all the videos that I make are dedicated to 1, maybe 2 people at a time. But since a lot of my content over the last 6 months or so has featured a ton of people crammed into one 10 to 15 minute experience, it got a little complicated, so here's how we're gonna do this. In order to be eligible for a place on the top 5 list this year, the console fanboy in question either had to have a whole video dedicated to them, or they had to have at least 3 tweets on a single topic in a single video. That way we can still have some semblance of organization in this video, but also we can include some of the biggest Twitter fanboys this time around instead of just sticking to the YouTube peasants. Although, going back through my videos from 2023, I was actually surprised at just how ridiculous some of the fanboys from earlier in the year were, so this top 5 might surprise you. Maybe it's because when a console fanboy makes a whole video about something, it gives us more of an opportunity to see just how brain dead they are, whereas a tweet or 2 can mask some of the ignorance because you only have so many characters. But either way, put your cringe suits on because we're diving headfirst into the top 5 console fanboys of 2023. And of course, links to all of these videos will be down in the description if you want to watch them in their entirety. At number 5, here's a dude that lost his mind at the announcement that Last of Us Part 1 was going to be on PC, and he hilariously started getting really scared that The Last of Us Factions was going to be on PC as well. Now, we in the future can sit back and laugh at this because Factions doesn't exist anymore, but this dude was genuinely scared of the prospect of The Last of Us franchise expanding to the PC.
And I've said this in the past with my Uncharted 4 video, it may in fact devalue the brand. I'm not talking about financials here and the economics within a multi-billion-dollar corporation. If they think releasing video games on PC is going to generate more money, which it is for them, and the studios involved, good for them.
Okay, then what is your argument? Literally, what is it? You admit that releasing games on PC makes them more money. Literally, what reason do you have for Sony to stop doing the thing that makes them more money? Truly, what is your argument? If we agree that Sony's making more money from it, truly, what is your argument against it? If they're making more money, the brand isn't being devalued.
Absolutely. Great. But I'm not talking about financials. I'm a consumer, and I'm talking about the brand. I bought a PlayStation 5 to support the brand.
So, in your eyes, Sony giving the consumer more options to play their games is actually something being done to your detriment because you wanted to support the brand. Not the games, the brand. At least you're being honest about it, but holy shit.
The video games in which they're making for the brand, the features in which are present in the PlayStation 5 because of the brand. It's a brand. Everything is a brand.
No, the PlayStation 5 is a console. PlayStation is the brand.
So it's just hilarious to me that specifically people on Twitter, on YouTube, comment sections, and elsewhere.
Why did you say specifically if you were just going to list literally every option?
Are calling people who like myself who have this opinion, which by the way is a minority, I will admit.
If only you could figure out why that is
that we're upset that we don't want people to play video games and all this other ridiculous nonsense. No. Let's be real here.
You are passionately against the idea of putting Last of Us Part 1 on PC, but you are not against people playing video games. Let's see how you talk yourself out of this one.
I think with 6 months after the release of a PlayStation exclusive, first party exclusive game going on PC is just it's just unfathomable to me. It's just I can't understand it. I don't understand it.
Well, don't look now, but they're doing more of it.
But then I kind of do. Like I said, PlayStation is a Sony specifically is a multi-billion-dollar company, and I think they're gearing up for the Last of Us factions. I think this is going to be the norm, that PlayStation games are going to go on PC.
And if that's the case, it's likely going to launch on PC and PlayStation at the same time, which I'm not totally sure the Sony faithful are mentally prepared for. That big Last of Us multiplayer game you've been waiting for may end up being multi-platform on day one, and I just hope you're prepared for that.
I've already accepted it. There's not much I can do to not accept it. There isn't anything I can do to accept it. I have to accept it. And I will, and I have been.
Are you sure?
That doesn't mean I can't voice my concerns and opinions, which I will always do, especially as a fan of the brand PlayStation as well as a fan of Naughty Dog.
So, you haven't accepted it. At number 4, we've got a lad that some of you may remember from the Starfield days, who tried to use Starfield's Steam numbers as evidence that the game was a flop, but all the while he was too dumb to realize that the Steam numbers were actually kind of incredible for a single-player game. Like, reception to Starfield aside, the game's sales were extremely impressive, especially on Steam. And not only did this guy not understand that, he tried to use Starfield's positive numbers as evidence that it had negative numbers, all in the name of the blessed PlayStation. The other day, Twitter user @iHugie decided to take a gander at the Steam charts, and he saw that Starfield was down at number 9 in terms of concurrent players. He then let the gears in his brain chug for a few hours before coming up with the absolute baller-ass caption, "Starfield never stood a chance." Good work, Hugo, you've done amazing work here. Except no, this is actually perhaps the dumbest Starfield take I've seen in a while. And with how many fucking Starfield Salt videos I've made, that's saying something. See, Starfield is a single-player game. There is no multiplayer component. It's not the kind of game that generally inhabits the top of Steam charts, because its continued existence does not rely on people inhabiting the servers together. Starfield is the same right now as it would be if there were only 5 people playing it, which can't be said for most of the other games at the top of Steam charts that exist on shared communities keeping the servers populated. The fact that a purely single-player game is still cranking numbers like this is actually ridiculously impressive and is a testament as to just how many people are connecting with this game. And just to make it even more impressive, Steam is completely unrelated to Game Pass. Game Pass players are not included on the Steam charts, so the fact that Starfield is performing this well on the Steam charts, I can only imagine how well it's doing overall. At the time of this video's recording, Steam charts has Starfield at number 7, and more importantly, the top sellers chart on Steam itself has Starfield at number 5, which is frankly insane that a $70 game is still that high this long after release. I don't even know the last time I saw a single-player game other than Baldur's Gate 3 be this dominant for this long on Steam. This kind of thing usually doesn't happen. Like, I can't stress enough, like as a longtime PC gamer, I can't stress enough that this kind of thing, a single-player game being this high on the sales charts and this high on Steam charts for this long, like, this kind of thing rarely happens. Terpene Hunter replies, crazy that PlayStation guys hype this game so much and don't play it at all. Y'all just use it for stats like this. Imagine how long people are going to talk about a 12-hour copy and paste Spider-Man. Hugo replies, cry louder. Excellent argument. You're doing a great job defending your perspective. Slim Pickens says, cry louder. You've just started crying again after more ABK news, it seems. Hugo lashing out like a petulant child. Hugo says, still crying, lad? You'll be fine. And a few people pointed out an obvious irony here is that PlayStation guys love using Steam charts and Steam numbers to demean Xbox, but literally, when's the last time a PlayStation game on Steam even got close to these kinds of numbers? Like, if you guys want to use Steam to justify console positions, we can do that. It's just, it's not going to go well for you. And I mean, Hugo's also out here retweeting stuff like this, calling Starfield a flop. He's retweeting the Red Dragon, because of course he is. He's retweeting the Red Dragon again. He's retweeting Unleashed. He's out here saying Fallout 76 is better than Starfield. And typically with my Starfield Salt videos, I take a more rapid-fire, hardy-har tone. But it's honestly kind of hard to be hardy-har about this shit at this point, because it's just bordering on creepy how much you guys hate a fucking video game. Especially when we all know that you would be eating it up if it had a PlayStation logo instead of a Microsoft one. I made a couple videos about Canadian Gamer in 2023, but this, the one I picked for the number 3 spot for this list was definitely the most egregious one, because after Redfall was confirmed to be running at just 30 frames per second across the board, and everybody rightfully got really upset about it, he decided to make a video about how the people who want more than 30 frames per second in 2023 are actually in the wrong, and Arcane should be applauded for capping the game at 30 frames per second. And to this day, I'm still not entirely sure what awesome slam dunk argument he thought he was making, because yikes.
If anything, Arcane Studios should be commended for deciding to release this game at a capped 30 FPS.
Yes, these companies should be commended for selling you something that is running at standards that we were supposed to leave behind years ago, and that were left behind years ago on the PC, but that's a different topic. Microsoft sold you a machine with a 60 FPS standard, and now they're publishing a game running at half of that. This should not be commended. This should be criticized and mocked and chased out of the industry with the large broom. And if you can't understand why, I really don't know what to tell you at this point, because I don't want to keep repeating myself, because my audience is a lot smarter than you, and I don't want to waste their time.
You know, if they need a little bit more time to make sure that this game runs appropriately at 60 FPS, so be it. They've already announced that the game will run at 60 FPS at some point in the near future. Big freaking deal. I don't know why people are crying about this.
I actually made a comment about this on a previous video about the topic. Redfall is not the kind of game that's going to sell fucking gangbusters over a long period of time. This is a game that's likely going to sell in its launch week, or maybe its launch couple weeks, and then it'll be out of the news. Physical copies will start going down in price pretty quickly. Digital copies will start going down in price pretty quickly. This is not going to be an ongoing, like, long-lasting game. And if that's the case, why would they patch in 60 FPS post-launch? Like, really? What incentive do they have to do that? Like, really, if this is a game that's not going to have an ongoing, sales presence, really, what incentive do they have to do the patch at all? I'm not saying they're never going to do the 60 FPS patch. I'm not saying they're lying about that. For all we know, the 60 FPS patch could come pretty soon after release. But the point I'm making is really, what incentive do they have, like, at all? They're not going to delay the game again, and this game is not going to be something like Skyrim or Doom or, like, other story-based games that continue to sell really well after their release window. So why would they have any hustle with the 60 FPS patch?
A lot of you guys really need to go outside and touch grass, literally. You need to walk outside, go outside, spend the day outside, and stop spending so much time on social media. It's ridiculous.
When in doubt, fling random accusations at people who disagree with you. That's a great way to do this. That's a fantastic way to YouTube. Nice ratio, by the way. Can't imagine why people don't like this video.
A lot of you guys that are complaining about this are, the same people that are probably not even interested in this game. Now, the game looks incredible.
Yeah, okay. At number 2, it wouldn't be a year-end wrap-up without a Nintendo fanboy among us, and shockingly, this spot is not going to Harmon Smith this year. Instead, it's going to this absolute doofus who tried to defend Mortal Kombat 1 on the Switch by saying all the negative press and screenshots of its awfulness were actually the fault of Nintendo haters, or something. It was really stupid.
But what's not fine is that people are going out of their way to be dishonest and to lie about how the Switch version actually looks.
Yes, people like Nintendo, who had to pull the Switch trailer of the game from YouTube, and they would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for those meddling Steam achievements. That's how they discovered it, by the way. Like, that's how it was exposed, is at one point in the this is so stupid. At one point in the Switch trailer, a Steam achievement pops up, and like, how did you not think this was gonna happen? How did you think you were gonna get away with this?
You're probably asking yourself, well, lie? How can they lie about that, Doctor? The footage is there. What is there to lie about? Well, there's two possible things that's going on here. Either these people are not downloading the full day one patch, or there is a texture bug that is in the Switch version that is causing the textures to not load.
So, let me get this straight. Because they didn't download a day one patch, that means the experience is invalid. Which, just side note, the game still is ass after the patch. The game's been out for like a week or like maybe 2 weeks-ish now. I mean, I recommend you watch this video by Digital Foundry. Their breakdown of the Switch version is really, really comprehensive and good, and it really just highlights everything wrong with this version of the game. Like, yeah, maybe the day one patch fixed a few things, but in terms of the big core problems with this version of the game, the day one patch didn't do shit. It just made things a little less hilarious. But as for this other thing, it's because of a texture bug. Okay. Like, so? Like, if I'm playing a game and it crashes, and I go on Twitter and I'm like, what the fuck? Why'd this game crash? Why is this game crashing on me all the time? And then someone comments like, no, bro, you don't get it. There's a bug. Stop being mad. There's just a bug. Quit lying about the game crashing. It's because of a bug. You didn't mention this very specific bug, therefore what you said is invalid. Like, what is this? People don't care why the game looks like shit. They care about the game looking like shit.
And it's very noticeable. But the problem is, the people that are doing these reviews, the people that are uploading these pictures, these videos, aren't talking about that.
One of my favorite things in various gaming communities is just like watching how different communities react to garbage on their platform. Like, a game with garbage performance and massive technical issues will come out on the PS5, and the PS5 dudes will be like, what performance issues? Look at the graphics. There can't be performance issues. What? No, they're not there. Game with garbage performance and technical issues comes out on PC, and the Steam community is like, fantastic. I was just sharpening my expensive knife collection. Let's go make another mostly negative label. But on the Switch, a game comes out with garbage performance and technical issues, and the Nintendo dudes will come out like, yeah, the performance is shit, and it's total bullshit that they're charging full price for it, yeah. But also, let me tell you why it's not actually as bad as it could have been. Like, let me tell you why the criticisms you're making are actually weirdly, twistedly incorrect because they're not completely fulfilled with the criteria of what makes a bad game terrible, and therefore it's okay. Like, has anyone else noticed that? Like, Nintendo dudes are always so quick to point out the things that could have been worse, or like the criticisms that aren't 100% totally complete all the time, and therefore the nonsense they're being sold on the Switch is okay. Like, it's so complacent. It's honestly kind of sad. Like, I feel like even the biggest fanboys of fanboys on other platforms don't do this. Like, why are you so eager to do the damage control for the company ripping you off? But number one this year has got to go to a familiar face for an arc that got kind of swept under the rug due to all the other ridiculous console warring that was going on at the time. It's our boy MBG. He was asked on a stream why the PS5 is better than the PC or something, and the only thing that he could think of was PS Plus. He genuinely tried to simplify the entire PS5 versus PC debate down to the existence of PS Plus, and that was enough to make him actually think the PS5 was a better platform. The unnecessary overpriced paywall for playing your own games with your own internet connection, that was enough to make the PS5 as a whole a better gaming platform than the PC. So congratulations, MBG, because no matter how ridiculous things got this year, and no matter how ugly the console war got, this fucking dog shit galaxy-brained take still leaves me completely baffled, and for that, you get this year's #1 spot. Tune in next year to see if things get any better. They won't.
Buying a PC bypasses a PS5, yeah, but it doesn't bypass the fact that
you can see the gears turning. So this is from a stream, I think, and someone says, oh, buying a PC bypasses buying a PS5, and then you can literally see the gears turning. Like, bro, you don't have to fight with this. You didn't have to engage with this. You chose to engage with this. You don't have to argue with everything. It's just some things, they are just that. Buying a PC kind of bypasses a PS5 right now, because Sony knows at this point that it's basically impossible to get a PC gamer to convert to PS5.
It does bypass buying a PS5, but at the same time, like, you're limited in the sense that you can't subscribe to PS Plus.
Yeah, bro, I'm gonna go out and buy a are you fucking kidding me? That's your argument? So you should get a PS5 instead of a PC, or you should get a PS5 and a PC because of PS Plus. which is an unnecessary firewall that you have to pay for to play games online on the PC. Or on the PS5, sorry. On the PC, there is no firewall. I can just play my games online. I don't need anything like PS Plus. And if you're saying like, oh no, he means PS Plus, like you can't subscribe to PS Plus, get the great games on the PS Plus subscription game library. Okay, but I can have Game Pass on PC, which is if we're talking about just the games being made available to you, like versus the cost that you're paying for them, Game Pass on PC is a way better value.
You can engage with the PlayStation Network. Like,
oh man, what a tragedy. I can't engage with the PlayStation Network and all the wonderful security features that service comes with. BRB selling my PC for a PlayStation 5.
The only thing you can do is buy the specific set of games that they made available to buy. And in a way, it's Sony communicating the message to you, like, we want some of your money. We know we're not going to get as much as we would like.
Because they're not going day and date. Like, literally, that's really the only reason. PlayStation games on PC could be cranking sales. Like, and some games on PC have already been cranking sales. Pretty much every PlayStation game on the PC has performed well. Maybe not as well as you would have wanted them to, but they've performed well. You know, games like God of War and Spider-Man and fucking Horizon especially. I don't know who out there is buying Horizon on Steam, but apparently a lot of people have done it. But if these games were day and date and you included the PC with the hype campaign for these games, like, oh my lord. Like, if Ghost of Tsushima 2 is announced as like a launch game for PS5 and PC, like it's launching on both, I can absolutely guarantee you it will be the biggest PlayStation launch on PC so far by a landslide.
But you're not going to get every game. You know, or some games you're going to get literally years after the fact. Like, I think it's fine. Like, I have no problem that Horizon Forbidden West is going to PC. I think that's a good thing at this point.
Because it's been held hostage long enough.
Because it'll mean more sales. And if it's done well, it could maybe get pretty good sales.
So you want good sales on the PC, but you don't want day and date. Because... ?